Chris, how are the guys who are pushing for selection in the first final, how are they all tracking?
Yeah, the guys that are pushing in terms of recovery from injury are all fine. It's all good news there. So Cameron will play, Stanley will play, Mitch Duncan will play. Cam Guthrie had a little bit of a shot, he's fine. So are there any I've missed besides that?
They were the main ones. So how difficult is selection going to be? You've got a lot of very capable AFL players and probably not enough spots to put them all in.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary. I understand why the cliche has validity, that it's a good problem to have, but it's still one of, if not the hardest parts about coaching. There was also this theory that there's no such thing as sort of unlucky players. You sort of play your way in or you don't. I don't believe in that either. So it is a good position. It speaks to the strength of our squad and the performances through the year, but it is going to be a challenge.
There's another 8 days until you have to put in your final team, but do you have a strong idea of what your 22 would be at this stage?
Yeah, strong idea, but subject to change, and we have run a bit of a policy throughout the year that we have a long-term plan where we overlay a shorter-term plan that means we all need to keep an open mind, and these things do have a way of kind of working themselves out. Sorry, I was going to tell you who that was, but I won't. Sorry, I can't do it to you, Sarah. Where was I?
Long-term plan, short-term.
Yeah, so what was I bringing that up?
Re-team selection.
I am completely rattled. I need to get myself back in the moment. So you can spend a whole lot of time trying to work out where things are going to be in 8 days' time or 2 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time, and you get to that moment and all that was a waste of energy because things become a bit clearer. But I think the important part to stress is that we have, I don't know what the number is exactly, but much more than 22, 23 players that we're very, very confident can get the job done.
Sorry, Chris, just when you mentioned the players before, was Guthrie, Stanley, Duncan. Was Jeremy Cameron mentioned? No.
Yeah.
So he's right.
He was the first one. He's right. Sorry. He's playing. Yeah. Well, I mean, you were there. What are we, Friday? You were there Wednesday to see him move around. That would have given you a pretty good indication just as to how good he is. I mean, without overplaying it, I suspect he would be available if we were playing tomorrow.
You often talk about running towards pressure and being a privilege at this time of year. What does that look like in terms of preparation, getting players ready for a finals campaign?
Well, I think in short, it involves embracing the moment. But when you're really well prepared, the next moment's kind of the most important one. And I think the position we're in at the moment gives us great confidence because we've been executing. It hasn't been perfect for us throughout the year. We've run into some obstacles and have been able to think our way through it. So I don't think we're in a position where we need to be changing our approach going into a final series. I am a believer that it's a bit of a myth that you come into big games or big moments even in your life and then you've got to find something extra. Like, what have you been doing the rest of the time? But of course it is bigger because there's more on the line. But what would you rather? Not being in it or feeling that buzz that comes from playing in front of a sold-out MCG. It's not something that you should run away from. There is an argument, I guess, that you've got to try to keep things as normal as possible. It's not going to be normal. We're trying to embrace that.
I know you don't like talking about the historical stuff too much. The record in qualifying finals isn't favourable for you. As much as it's a new year, new team, all that sort of stuff, is there anything you can take from that and learn from, improve on, implement coming games?
Only if you believe that what happened 12 months or 12 years ago has an impact on next week. If you can come up with any of those things, then I'm all ears, because we're open to learning and open to things that might help. But yeah, I can't come up with anything.
Have you changed?
It's just also different.
Sorry, have you changed anything this week to past years, the way you've been dealing with the pre-finals final?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure we have. I couldn't. I can't walk you through what those things are, but it's more a reflection of the fact that we do things differently all the time, because we really value gradual improvement. And we've been sort of quite focused on that this year. Trying to be sort of optimistic about what we can do better in the next moment. And rarely, reviewing is really important, but rarely going back to 12 months ago is a good idea to compare it to, because the situation is just so different. And even if it wasn't, you struggle to remember exactly what it was like as well. So I'm sure if we went back and found the data around exactly how we trained and all that sort of stuff, I think we weren't in a hub just yet. But anyway, I can't say it any more clearly than I don't think it's very relevant, but we're really confident that what we're doing right at the moment is the right thing for where we are as a squad and as a club in this moment.
Chris, how much are you looking forward to drive up the highway and an MCG final for the first time in 3 years, as opposed to waking up in a foreign bed and preparing for an interstate final as you have for the last 2 years?
Yeah, I think that's a better thing to reflect on for us and for me, and more importantly than us, for our fans. The game's sold out. I'm led to believe that it's a record number of Geelong supporters that are coming to a final. They're embracing the position that we're in, and we're really keen for them to be rewarded for the way they've supported us over the last 2 or 3 years. So the occasion, no matter what, is always really big, coming to finals. In the last couple of years, that was still, that was still a buzz, but nothing quite compares to a full MCG.
It's a nice acknowledgement the other night, the All-Australian team having such a good representation, and the Tyson Stengel story in particular is a good one for you guys.
Yeah, there are so many great stories. It's hard to put them in order. Tyson has just been he's just been so impressive with the way he's carried himself this year, across the whole preparation, not just the on-field stuff that everyone sees. He's just been terrific, and I think our club should be really proud of the way that they've supported him and given him the best opportunity to show what he can do and who he can be. And I won't go through all of them, so don't worry. But Mark Blitzarves is the other one that really springs to mind for me. I still remember vividly him sitting up at our season launch when he first came to our club. This skinny track and field athlete, babbling on about something I couldn't quite understand. He clearly didn't know really what he was in for, but the way he embraced it and his thirst for learning and continual improvement has just been an inspiration to us all. So for him to be, I need to go and check my numbers when I think that he's a 2-time Geelong best and fairest, and now an All-Australian. Such an important player in our team. It is a remarkable story, and I think he and Tyson are a bit symbolic of sort of what we've done over the last 10 years. It hasn't all been by design. We've had some fortuitous moments as well, and we've had to adjust on the run. But they are not your traditional group. They're not your blue ribbon, top 5 draft pick, group of players that you put them all together and the talent just takes over. They've had to work their way through it, in a slightly unorthodox way. I think that's all the more impressive. Aside from any player being All-Australian is a great achievement, but the way they've done it, I think is even more meritorious.
Chris, just on Tyson Stengel, do you have a recollection of when his name was first put across your desk as a prospective Geelong player, and what your reaction was to that?
I didn't know him very well, but we had some connection through Sean Grigg, who played with him a little bit at Richmond, and our recruiters had watched him for quite a while. So again, that's kind of the overnight success that took 3 years of planning. So I didn't know him, and I know my limitations when it comes to like picking, especially young talent. It's not my strength to look at underage footy and sort of, I can see Sam Walsh, but I struggle with the guys who are going to go sort of 30 to 60, maybe if I put a bit more time into it. And Tyson hadn't played that much senior footy. But the other thing that I thought about, and we continue to think about, is that I'd prefer to live my life thinking the best of people and being optimistic around what they could be, not being hung up on perceived negatives that I didn't have any information about, and I just don't want to have someone else try to make me believe what they think. I'd rather try to go and work it out for myself, which is what we did with Tyson, and the more we looked into it, the more we liked.
It was about 20 weeks ago now. Do you look back on the round 3 game against Collingwood much at all? Is it still relevant to your preparations for the final?
Oh, more relevant than 12 months ago, less relevant than what's happened in the last month or so. We do look at it. I think every club, it's crazy not to look at the last time you played them. It helps when it's 4 weeks ago. It's very relevant then. What did you say it was?
It was round 3.
Round 3, yeah, long time ago. Yeah, I think both sides have really evolved since then. My observation of them is that they have, and we certainly have. Like, even if you look at personnel, and this is why it becomes a little bit of a nonsense. You look at those games. So, don't mind talking about a game this year, much less games previous, and you just see guys that either aren't playing anymore or playing in different positions, and so if you get hung up on that sort of thing and try to draw the connection, I think you are missing the forest for the trees. So yeah, to answer your question, I think what they've done over the last 4 to 6 weeks is much more relevant. I think the game will be played differently to the way that one was, which is a good thing because we were 30 points down at 3/4 time.
There was a report in Herald Sun today, I think, that Bailey Scott will be coming to Geelong at the end of this year in the trade period. Do you have any awareness of that?
Oh, it's great news. Don't stop there. Who else?
Well, there's been a million players connected, but that was a pretty sure report according to who wrote that, I suppose.
Well, name names. Who was it? I'll give you a nod to his or her credibility.
I think there was 4
I won't.
lines on it. But
Yeah, they're the best, aren't they? Spread the load. This is the first I've heard of it. But I think, I've thought it for a long time and only recently started talking about it a bit more openly publicly. If I had my time over again, I would have made it clearer 10 years ago. One of the strengths of this club is that we collaborate really well. I'm really confident that that's done at a high level. But people also know what their core roles are. And there's a timing issue with that as well. And I'm really clear on what my core role is right at the moment. And I love that I get brought in on these things. But if that's happening, I don't know about it. So one, I'd be surprised if it was happening and I didn't know about it. But I guess, that I've just got so much faith in those guys and they want me focused on the team. So it'd be strange if a journo knew more than I did, put it that way. But it happens. I'm actually not trying to be flippant or a smart aleck there. It is possible that happens, but I just haven't heard about it.
Chris, I know you might think I've laboured the point a little bit, but you're not in the VFL finals. What have you sort of been able to jag together to be able to keep the guys that won't play next week match condition in a way?
Yeah, so we made a decision to prioritise our training. One of the downsides of having a team in the VFL is that, it's in the finals is that you don't get to train with your whole complement, and it is a positive way of looking at the situation that we're in, that we can play 18 v 18 with our whole list. We're not protecting guys who need to play VFL finals, so that match practice has been really valuable for us. And I think, short of playing the best opposition teams, it's pretty good match practice playing against ourselves because we kind of know what we're trying to do. And sometimes, and I think the best teams over the last couple of decades, at least that I can speak to, haven't been too many secrets around what they do. You know it going in, you just can't stop it. So that's what we've been trying to